Hi, everybody. Matt Buto here from North Country Game Day, checking in for the week this past week. As I was sitting here thinking about it, man, a whole lot of good things took place this week. Got a lot to cover for North Country sports, Berlin and Gorham, field hockey, golf, soccer, football, just a lot and a lot of good. This week up over in Berlin at Gato Field were the games under the lights Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Soccer, soccer, outstanding. Just a great atmosphere. Field hockey Tuesday night was painted night, the field orange, where we recognized and collaborated between field hockey team and the Key Club and other organizations to um, knock out leukemia, knock out cancer. It's impacted a lot of us, either friends, family, whoever it might be. It was just really cool. I got my orange shirts, and we gave our winning shirts out to Scott Hogan, um, Sophie Bergeron, Nikki Crotto, Gary Richard, and man, there was one more, and I cannot remember. I'll look that up in a second. But regardless, great night. I went to all three games, spent some time at all three games. I got the boys game in from the top of Mount Jasper, which was kind of cool. Um, so yeah, some really good stuff going on. But let's start with high school field hockey. Special thanks to Nikki Arguin, who has been replying to every one of my emails and sending me stats and rosters and everything you can possibly imagine. Top-notch coach in many ways. But let's take a look at the field hockey standings to start. Now, this is according to NHIA.org, so I guess that could be up for debate, but they're pretty solid. It's pretty solid as far as the scores and um, the standings. But let's get there. Berlin field hockey. Love to talk about the team itself. I know that Coach Arguin had some tough games this week, some very successful games this week. I'm looking at her schedule on September 8th. She played against a tough undefeated Hopkinton team, lost 2-0. Then at the home opener under the lights, the Cancer Awareness Night, paint the field orange against Winnisquam, 6-0 win, which I was there for. It was outstanding. They just controlled every part of the field. The girls were excited to be playing at home. They were excited to be playing at Berlin's, you know, the Berlin's fan base. It was a night game, cancer awareness. It went on, and they dominated that game on both ends with a big win, 6-0. And then they go down to Guilford, and I had emailed Coach Arguin saying, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this game?" And the one thing I recall, and I'm pretty sure this is what she said, but Guilford hadn't lost a game, I think since 2023, which is huge, especially when you're playing in the same division as Guilford and Hopkinton and St. Thomas. And when you know it, on September 12th, they go down to Guilford and they win that game 2-0. Just what can you say? So that brings their record to 3-1 with a tough loss to Hopkinton, which I'm sure that they'll play again and look for some redemption. But that brings them to 3-1, which is very good. I am looking at the standings now for at the NHIA site, nhia.org, and that puts Berlin in one, two, three, four, fifth place. But there's a mix there of, Kearsarge is 3-0, Hopkinton's 3-0, St. Thomas is 2-0, Guilford's 4-1, and Berlin's 3-1. So it's really anybody's first place. But I think at the end of the day, Coach Arguin has a team playing smart, has them playing tough, has them believing in themselves, and beat a 4-0 Guilford team under the lights here at Berlin and Gato Field. What a way to end the week. So they're in fifth place. but they're only a game or two out. Um, and if you could beat Guilford, you could beat St. Thomas, you could beat Hopkinton, you could beat Kearsarge. So we'll see what the future brings for them. Speaking of future, their next game is on September 18th at 4, and they'll be playing home at Kennett. So on the 18th, home versus Kennett, and the 20th, I'm sorry, the 18th, home versus Newfound, the 20th, home versus Kennett. If you look at Newfound in the standings, Newfound has a 1-2 record. Hard to tell. It's still early in the season, so you're not sure how well they're playing or how well they're going to play. I think that Newfound's always a competitive team. And for whatever reason, when teams play against Berlin, they always bring their best because they know they're playing against one of the best. So that'll be Newfound. That's coming up on the 18th. And then they're going up to Division Two, and that's going to be a home Kennett game, I believe. Let me double check. No, yeah, a home Kennett game on September 20th. That's going to be Berlin homecoming. Huge day. Kennett's in town, Division Two Kennett's in town. It's going to be Berlin homecoming. Hoping to get down there to cover some. I am going to take a quick look at where Kennett's in the standings and their record while I'm here. Kennett is third place, 3-0. So another competitive Kennett team. This game on the 20th against Kennett for homecoming should be a battle. But they got to go to Newfound first. They got to play Newfound first on the 18th. Then Kennett on the 20th homecoming. And I'm sure that if Miss Coach Argan was sitting with me right now, she wants to finish this week off with the next couple weeks off with a 5-1 record. But we'll see. Those will be two tough games. So again, special thanks to Coach Arguin, the Berlin girls field hockey team right now in the standings. Want to get this for you, make sure it's right. In the standings, fifth place, one, two, three, four, fifth place at 3-1 after being beating a great Guilford team 2-0. Let's see how the rest of this week will go for them. While I'm here, I did want to give a shout out because Coach Arguin did share some specifics with me for the field hockey team on that 6-0 win against Winnisquam under the lights. Emily Smith, 4 goals and assists. Caitlin Kelly and Olivia Jocks, 1 goal each. Olivia Richard, 3 assists. Emma Ranklos, 3 assists. If you look at their roster, probably on the top of the heap there with quality and skill. But look at that, Emily Smith, 4 goals. Olivia Richard, 3 assists, so outstanding. I didn't get many specifics on Guilford, but I am wondering. I believe that's a first Guilford loss since 2023, and Kenneth Scott from Emily Smith and Olivia Richard, and Emily Smith from Emma Ranklos and Caitlin Kelly for the goals. What can I say? Outstanding. So best of luck to them this week over the next couple weeks. 18th against Newfound, the 20th at home for homecoming against Kennett. Two big battles. But let's keep going down the line. What I have next on mine is Berlin boys soccer. Again, coached by Travis Hool, another coach that's always willing to give me all the information that I need. We talked a little bit about his first couple of games this season. Big win in Winnisquam, big win against Kennett. Then game three takes on Hillsborough Daring, beats them 3-1. A ton of goals. Dylan Bushy, Evan Hill, names that come up most often: Arsenal, Boyd Poulin, Jordy Bledsoe. Just continue. I went to the Under the Lights game 4 against St. Thomas. Berlin played great. It was just a hard fought game. St. Thomas came to play. I think Berlin was truly inspired by the um, fans. The place was packed. It was the first night game ever at Gato Field, and I believe with less than 5 minutes in the game, St. Thomas scored. And really, that could have been a 1-0 game in Berlin's favor. It could have been a 1-1 game. It could have been a 2-0. It's just one of those games that could have gone either way. The heart that Berlin was playing with was outstanding. I was on top of Mount Jasper recording most of it, but then I came down for probably part of the second half, and it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch, and you hate to see anybody lose that game, especially Berlin. But St. Thomas put the biscuit in the basket and took a little bit of the steam out of Berlin, but they did not give up. It was a very good St. Thomas team, so but a 1-0 loss. If we take a look at them in the standings real quick here, again, nhia.org. I'm looking at, and we're going to go to soccer boys. Division three in Berlin comes in with a 4-1 record. Well, I have to update my stat sheet here. So they play Winnisquam 8-2, beat up Kennett 3-1, beat up Hillsborough Daring 3-1, lost a really close game to St. Thomas 1-0, and then they were a little redemption. They go down to Somersworth and they dominate Somersworth even more than they dominated Winnisquam 8-0. I don't have much information because I haven't reached out to Coach Hool yet, but I'm sure that's a game that they wanted to come out of there with a win. It looks like Somersworth on the average has been losing their games by 7 or 8 goals. But after a hard-fought game against St. Thomas, and that didn't work out in your favor, I'm sure they left Summers worth feeling good about the game, although that they know that they have many challenges that are coming up that are going to be much more difficult than Summers were. So, yeah, so 8-2, 3-1, 3-1, 1-0 loss St. Thomas, and they go down and beat up on Summersworth to get back on track. Now they'll be on the 16th. They'll be playing against Belmont at home at 4 p.m. And Belmont comes in with a 5-0 record. And then they will take on Interlakes at Interlakes on the 18th. And then White Mountains for the homecoming game on the 20th. Belmont comes in with 5-0. They haven't played, well, actually, they have. They played against Winnisquam. They beat Winnisquam 2-1. Berlin beat Winnisquam 8-2. Who knows? Maybe there was a player or two missing from the Berlin game. So it's hard to compare. But if you're looking at just numbers and scores, it looks like Berlin has a pretty good shot at that game. And then they go down to Interlakes on the 18th. Taking a quick look there. A beatable Interlakes, although they always have a team that can compete. But they're going to go down to Interlakes, is at 2-3 with recent losses to Hopkinton and Fall Mountain, win at Bishop Brady, and a win at Sanborn. So Berlin has their work cut out for them in a sense where competitively people love to play Berlin and they love to play them hard. They'll have Belmont on the 16th, and then they'll have Interlakes on the 18th. Two games they should win, I think, and then White Mountains on the 20th, which you never know. Both of those teams could be 0-8 at that point or 8-0. That is going to be a battle on Gato Field for Berlin's homecoming. So that's the Berlin boys. Going to start this week at 4-1, coming off a big win against Somersworth, and then a home game against Belmont on the 16th. Um, Coach Hool will often text me or send me an email, which I appreciate. And I just wanted to give him a shout out. I already mentioned the players that have been scoring, but real quick to make sure that we're highlighting them. And that first game, Dylan Bushy, 5 goals, 2 assists. Boyd Poulin, 2 goals, 2 assists. Evan Hill had a goal and an assist. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Kennett, Evan Hill scores 3 goals. Arsenal, Boyd Poulin, and Bledsoe with the assist. Hillsborough Daring, 3-1. Boyd Poulin, 1 goal. Dylan Bushy, 2 goals. Under the lights, they didn't score a goal, but I'm guessing with the Somersworth game, you'll probably hear a lot of those names again. Really hardworking, good kids that can make plays, score goals. So that is the Berlin boys soccer. Let's go over to girls soccer, coached by Pete Perry, another coach that shares a ton of information with me. I'm going to go back to the NHIA page here real quick and give you the specifics. What I will tell you though, I didn't get much information. I didn't ask Coach Perry about his 4-1 win in Hillsborough Daring, um, but he did share some information with me. So game three, they beat up on Hillsborough Daring. Game four, St. Thomas 5-0 loss. As Coach Perry points out, it's a very talented St. Thomas team. I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but a team looking to get deep into the playoffs. Although there were times during this game where Berlin dominated, and playing really decent soccer. Um, but St. Thomas, a tough and scrappy team. They were able to stay with them for periods of time, um, but ended up losing some steam there towards the end. So Kennett 1-1 tie, Hillsborough Daring 4-1 win, St. Thomas 5-0 loss. Although there were pieces of that game that might make that score a lot closer the next time. And then they come up to Berlin on game five, Interlake's 6-0 win under the lights. I was there. Like all the other teams, Pete was talking about how it's exciting to play under the lights. Playing under the lights brought even more fans, more cheering, and his team looked outstanding. He would report to me most complete game of the year, um, making plays, good decisions. That's a very good Interlakes team that they beat 5-0. It's not reflective of what kind of team that Interlakes is. Um, they tied Hopkinton 2-2. Um, and Hopkinton's predicted second or third place in the division. They also played a very good Stevens team. They lost 5-0, but that Stevens team is predicted number one. So Berlin beat up on a team that could go potentially deep into the playoffs, 6-0. Um, Outstanding, awesome. The atmosphere. He would go on to mention the atmosphere and the fans, and I just loved it. Girls loved it, um, and history in the making. So let's look up for them real quick at the um, standings here. In NHIA.org, soccer girls, Division Three. They're coming in after that Interlakes in winning Interlakes. They have 3 wins, one tie, and a loss. They're going to be at Belmont tomorrow, actually, at 4 p.m. And then their next game will be on Saturday, the 20th, for the Berlin homecoming against White Mountains. Another big game. Another big game that they're looking even further into the future. So you have um, at Belmont tomorrow, 4 p.m. Tomorrow being 9:15. Home versus White Mountains. So they're going to go 4 or 5 days there with a break. Home versus White Mountains on Saturday at 1:30 for homecoming. And then Kennett on the 23rd, and then back at White Mountains on the 27th. So it doesn't get any easier for Coach Perry. I'm looking at Belmont. It's a winnable game, although again, you never know. And these teams play against Berlin; they really bring it. Winnable game against Belmont on the 15th, and then they're playing against White Mountains, a game too that regardless of the standings or regardless of records, they just battle. They battle, battle, battle. White Mountains will come in to that. Well, they're going to play against Littleton. They could actually get a pretty busy week. White Mountains will play Littleton, tough game on the 16th, Mascoma on the 18th, and then Berlin on the 20th. Berlin plays tomorrow, then they don't play again until Saturday. So that either may help or hurt. I'm hoping that it will help. But again, it doesn't matter. It's White Mountains. Um, Always a competitive team, if not one of the better teams in the North Country. Berlin and White Mountains, the only two Division three teams up here. So that will be a battle. But I'm sure Coach Perry is looking forward to continuing to fine tune his craft and work on the positive things that the girls have been working on. Let me look real quick to see if there's anything else I wanted to share with you. I think that's it. Um, yeah. So tomorrow, Belmont, Saturday, White Mountains. That's Berlin girls soccer for you. Thanks again to Coach Perry for not only replying but giving me some good information to work with. Really appreciate it. Gorham boys, taking a look at their schedule. Um, Gorham boys soccer. Let's see. Yeah, they actually just went over to profile with a big, I think a big 2-1 win after coming off some pretty easy wins against Groveton 5-0, Linwood 5-1, Profile 2-1. They lost their home opener to Sunapee 3-2, but this week specifically, um, I'm not sure of the Profile team. I'll take a quick look at their schedule. But what you'll find with profiles, they always have really competitive teams, really strong teams. And that's a really good Gorham boys soccer team. So if that's a 2-1 game, you know that profile came to battle. But let's take a look at the standings real quick. Gorham comes in 3-1 with that loss to Sunapee. This week they're going to travel down to Maltonborough. Sure. Well, Maltonborough is coming into that game with a 3-1, um, 3-1 record. Beat up on Pittsburgh Canyon. They beat up on Littleton and Sunapee. So it might be a tough one for Gorham, but Gorham's one of the best in the division, so we'll see. But going back to Gorham, yeah, at Marlboro would be a tough one. And Littleton for their homecoming, for Gorham's homecoming. Um, so that should be a good game too. So Gorham uh, this week at Linwood 5-1, Profile 2-1, and then well, I should say last week, this week coming up, Marlboro at 4:30 at Marlboro on 17th, and then home versus Littleton on the 20th for their homecoming. I don't, I didn't reach out to Coach Backler for any info recently, only because of the all the things that were happening up in Berlin, but he would absolutely get back to me. And I know Coach Backler working on fundamentals, working on growing, working on playing their game, working on learning from each game. And it looks like a big profile. When I wanted to look at profile real quick, yeah, it's hard to tell with profile. They had what I would consider a good win against Littleton, 3-2 on the 13th. Must have been a homecoming game. That loss to Gorham 2-1. They lost to Woodsville 2-0. That's a good Woodsville team. They lost to Newmarket 4-1. Then they beat up on Lisbon. So um, that's a team that can play. And Gorham had to win that one. So. Um, We'll take a quick look at the standings while we're here, and then we'll move on to Gorham Girls. NHIA.org standings, soccer, girls, Division 4. Gorham, we have Gorham. I'm sorry. Yeah, I want to double check here for you. I want to confusing myself. Gotta go to soccer boys, not girls. I think it's the second time in a row I do that to Gorham. I apologize. So soccer boys, Division 4, we have Gorham in third, fourth, fifth place with a 3-1 record. Right behind them is Concord Christian and Marlboro and Farmington Newt. Right above them is Wilton Lindenborough, Epping, Hinsdale, a very dominant Newmarket, Hinsdale 5-0, 6-0. So boys, Gorham, um, hanging around at the top, fifth place with a 3-1 record, but they have two or three teams that are tied with them point wise, it looks like. Maybe one or two. Woodsville's right in there, 3-2. Colebrook is right in there, 2-2. So it's not an easy division this year. But Gorham, I know Gorham, and I know Coach Backler. They're ready to play, and this week will be an important week for them as they go to Marlborough on the 17th, and Littleton at home on the 20th for their homecoming. All right, now it's going to be uh, girls Gorham soccer. I know that Coach LaChance is very busy, so it's hard to answer all of my questions. So I don't have much information to share. I will continue to reach out to her, see if I can get some for you. But I can give you the stats that I do have. Um, it seems as though it's a learning year for the girls' soccer team. Plenty of learning opportunities for first year coach Carissa LaChance. Things that we talked about already. The first game tie, good start against Sunapee 1-1. Then lost to Groveton on 3-0, lost to Linwood 6-0, and lost to Profile 5-2. I'll take a quick look at the standings for any comparisons that we might be able to find. Um, we're gonna go to Gorham Girls. We'll go to the team first on nhia.org. And right now they're sitting about four spots up from the bottom. Oh, 3-1. Holy Family, Mountain and Hinsdale below them. Epping, Mount Royal, Pittsfield, Woodsville above them. Um, like I said, I don't have a lot of details to share aside from um, really believing in Crystal LaChance. He was an outstanding soccer player for Gorham and for Norwich University. I think that Gorham lost 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 seniors last year. So it's definitely a growing year. But when you look at the schedule, they tied Sunapee 1-1. They only lost to Groveton, which is a good team, a very physical team, 3-0. Not sure about Linwood and Profile, although I have heard that, make sure that you can hear me here, I got tech problems. Um, I heard the Linwood team is outstanding this year. So, um, but let's hope that they can take a lot from this, learn from it. They only scored one goal up until the 10th, and then they scored a couple. So I'm looking forward to seeing them grow. They're playing at Marlborough on the 17th, and Marlborough is a beatable team this year. They're 0-4, so that might be something good for Gorham to get back on track. And then they have Littleton at their homecoming on the 20th. I only look at Littleton. Littleton typically is a strong team. They beat up Epping 5-0, Linwood 4-3, the Goodwood Linwood team. Moultonborough 6-1, Wilton Lineborough 7-0, and then Profile 2-1. So, as always, Littleton's bringing a good team in, and Gorham will be playing in front of the passionate Gorham crowd, and hopefully they can come up with um, a couple goals, maybe compete, but definitely learn. So that is Gorham girls for you. Let me look down. I don't have much information on golf or cross country. Hoping to get more. Hoping to hear from the coaches. I've had some conversations with Coach Lord. Numbers are low. And I can take a look at golf. Start to read the scores sometimes mostly because I'm not a golfer, but I want to make sure that I cover all the sports while I'm here. But golf, where are you, golf? Soy Golf, NHI.org, Division 4. Trying to see again. I'm just not good at this, but um, I don't see any new information for Gorham since September 4th. Where they, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have much information to give you. If you do know somebody or have information, please share, and I'll make sure to get that information out. Last but not least, as far as coverage goes, um, we had our first live game on our YouTube live game on Saturday. The Freiburg Raiders came to town to play against the Berlin Gladiators, a very good Freiburg Raiders team, a very skilled Freiburg Raiders team, a team that's been playing football for a long time, all playing together. When we saw that on Saturday, but there are bits and pieces of that game where you had a Berlin Gladiators team that was, um, I remember, what, 80% never played before. There are bits and pieces of that game that I was really impressed. And I'm not just saying that because it's a local team. It was just impressive. Um, Full Buto with some beautiful tackles. Um, just saw, a lot of good things going on out there. They didn't come out with a win, and that's fine. But again, bits and pieces of that game were just outstanding. Real quick for Berlin Gladiators, they're 0-2 with losses to Oak Hill and Freiburg. That puts them near the bottom of the standings. They're going to be traveling to Booth Bay Harbor this weekend on Saturday. Um, and in that division, um, yeah, Freiburg, Spruce Mountain, Oak Hill, Booth Bay, Telstar, Berlin, Tri-Town, and Maranacook. Freiburg's at the top, 2-0. Spruce Mountain at the top, 2-0. So those are your teams to beat. And in looking at their week one, Freiburg beat Tri-Town 46-6. Spruce Mountain beat Maranacook 48-6. Oak Hill beat Berlin 48. So at that top, maybe top three or four, there's some pretty dominant teams. Hopefully they beat up each other a little bit to get some of those records a little closer to ours. But congratulations to the Gladiators. Their first home game on Saturday. Did some really good things. We had uh, good conversations with Gary Richard, always open to sharing. They brought on Austin Heath, the as a new coach, so things are looking up. But they'll be way over in Booth Bay Harbor Saturday for a 1 o'clock kickoff. Looking at everything that I have right now, that about covers it. Um, been enjoying covering the local sports. Got to give a shout out to the Berlin High School backers. There was a lot of sponsors and that put on those nights, those lights games under the lights. I'm afraid if I say one, I might forget one, so I'll let them share that information. But it was it was a lot of fun. It was really cool, and yeah, just a lot of fans, as you would expect in Berlin and Gorham. So, shout out to Berlin High School and the backers for putting that all together for us and the sponsors that were able to make that happen. This week for us over at North Country Game Day, I'm going to take a look at the schedule and try to get at least some video. I'm going to spend some time down in Gorham. I'll be down covering the Gladiators football game, mostly because my son plays for that team. Um, I think we're going to have Coach Ryan Goulet from the Berlin High School esports team be joining us um, for an interview at some point. I think we'll record that tomorrow night and hopefully get that out within the next 3 or 4 days. Um, Coach Higgins over from White Mountain Wrath will be joining us, I believe, the Monday after to record. I'm going to start reaching out to the basketball and hockey teams, hockey coaches, so I can get them when they're not too busy. So yeah, take a look. Go over on Facebook, North Country Game Day. Give us a like if you could. We're trying to get to 100. We're almost there. And or if you could go to North Country Game Day YouTube channel, check us out. Some videos, clips, live, shorts, whatever it might be. Take a look. Again, my name's Matt Buto, and this is North Country Game Day. I'll see you around.